What's going on, everybody? Good morning once again. And if you watched this morning's Seahawks video about the minicamp day 2 session, you might recall that during that video I mentioned that the only real Seahawks thing that could happen over the next approximately 6 weeks would be either a trade or some kind of a salary cap move. Well, we didn't really have to wait any time at all for the salary cap move. In fact, about 2 hours before that minicamp video went live, we actually got some fairly significant salary cap news. So, obviously, the video was recorded before this news went out, but if you watch the video when it first was uploaded, as of course all of you guys had to because nobody can see it before it's uploaded, you probably already knew about the salary cap move, but let's go ahead and talk about it. Dre'Mont Jones. Dre'Mont Jones is the subject of this video. His contract has been restructured with the Seahawks to free up $7.4 million in 2024 cap space. So let's take a look at this. And as of right now, as of the recording of this video, Spotrac has not updated, but OTC has. So this actually gives us a pretty nice opportunity to look at what the contract was and what the contract is. So, Dre'Mont Jones on Spotrac. This is the contract as it was. 2024, the cap hit was about 18.2 million. So that was kind of a pain. That was kind of a pain to deal with, right? An $18.2 million cap hit for a player who we don't even really know what position he's going to play or what kind of impact he's going to be able to have because of what happened last year with him where he was of limited effectiveness. That was kind of a pain. However, the upshot was that 2025, yes, his cap hit goes up to about 23.2, but his dead cap hit is 6.7 million. So that's an easy release. Not even 7 million dead with where the cap is probably going to be next year. That's pretty easy to swallow. So on the one hand, yeah, this year sucks. On the other hand, 2025 is free and easy. So now we've kind of swapped out some of the pain for pleasure and some of the pleasure for pain, I guess you could say. So you go to over the cap and you can see that things have kind of flipped. So the 2024 cap hit has been reduced all the way down to 10.8, let's call it, about 10.8 million. So very reasonable cost this season for a player that I think most of us expect to be at least a little bit better this year, a little bit more effective as a player. So that's obviously good. That accounts for the 7.4 million in savings, according to Jason OTC over here on X. You can actually see that his cap percentage has gone down from last year, where it was the cap number was slightly less, but the cap percentage was a little bit bigger. However, in 2025, the cap hit has ballooned a little bit to 25.6, let's call it, about 10% of the cap. So not only has the cap number gone up for Dre'Mont Jones in 2025, the dead money, if you release him, is now about 14.1 million. So no longer is it a painless cut. However, it is still a significant cut. We are talking 11.6 million in savings. So you could still certainly do that. Teams eat 14.1 million in cap space all the time to get rid of a player who's no longer really worth the money. I'm not going to pretend it's great. It's not. There's nothing great about this because paying a guy $14.1 million to not be on your team hurts. And next offseason, we're going to have to make the decision. And it's not going to be, is Dre'Mont Jones worth 25.6? It's going to be, is Dre'Mont Jones worth 11.6? Because those are the savings. And that's going to be a lot tougher to answer. We might have to make a move because we literally won't be able to afford anything else otherwise. But it is no longer a free and easy 2025 cut. It is doable, though. And the main reason why it's still doable is because the Seahawks have done what I've wanted them to do for quite some time. Utilize void year cap hits. So 2026, the Seahawks have pushed about 2.5 million into a void year hit. And in 2027, they have pushed about 2.5 million into a void year hit. So what that means, we've talked about void years before, I think most people understand, but what that means is this cap charge is here no matter what. If he's on the team, if he's not on the team, if he's re-signed with the team, if he's on his old contract in 2025 with the team, it doesn't matter. This cap hit of 2.4 million will be here in 2026 and 2027 no matter what. So on the one hand, that's, nobody's going to be thrilled about that. But the thing to remember here is that 2.5 million, approximately 2.5 million, is a tiny portion of the cap. It is estimated to be about 1.7% of the cap in 2026, and even less than that, it'll be almost certainly in 2027. So when you consider you're taking just a tiny little chunk out of the cap in those years, it's totally worth it. And I have advocated for this kind of stuff for a long time. The Seahawks have used void years 1 year, to my recollection, in the Carroll Schneider era. It was 2021, and they ended up not really using it. They used it, and then they ended up not using it, basically, because they just saved the money that they could have spent because of the void years, so it didn't matter. But it's like a credit card with a 0% interest rate. If you had a credit card that had a 0% interest rate, you'd use the heck out of that credit card. So that's kind of what this is. Yeah, it'll sting a little bit in 2026, 2027, but emphasis on a little bit, because the cap just keeps going up, and these void year charges are stagnant, are static. So it's definitely a trade-off. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'm not going to pretend like this is amazing, because Dre'Mont Jones is not somebody that the fan base is in love with right now, and with good reason. And it just got harder to cut him in 2025, but it's still doable. There are still significant savings there. It does mean that we're probably looking at another year in 2025 of non-trivial dead money. Again, it kind of depends on what happens with Geno Smith. It kind of happens what we end up doing with DK Metcalf. Both those guys are entering the last year of their deal. But we've kept our options at least somewhat open while freeing up cap space in 2024. And that part is important because we needed to. I've talked about this before. We needed to do something. You go to Spotrac right now, and again, Spotrac doesn't have the new Dre'Mont contract details. You can see that the top 51 cap space for the Seahawks right now is less than $125,000. So that is last in the league, and that is only the top 51. So once you account for the top 53, whoever ends up making that top 53, you're over the cap. And then you have to pay your practice squad, and then you have to have some kind of an injury and trade buffer for the season. You're probably talking about like $7 million that you need. Well, we just created that $7 million. So I don't expect this move to be a prelude to any kind of like a trade where we take on salary. We can't really take on salary. We needed to do this just to have a team in 2024. But yeah, that's the move we decided to make. It's not the only move we could have made. We could have done something with Metcalf. We could have done something with Geno. We could have done something with a couple other players. And maybe I would have preferred that, but this is the way we decided to go. So let me know what you think down below. And before you pass judgment on this, just try to understand all the parameters here. I know that Dre'Mont Jones is not a popular player in this fan base. A lot of people just wanted to cut him, even though it wasn't really going to save us any money because they disliked him that much. But understand the parameters of this move. The parameters of this move are a little bit more complex than just, oh, he's going to be here longer now. And even going as far into the future as 2025, which is really just, 1 year we're talking about here. His cap hit goes from 8.5% of the cap to just under 10% of the cap. So we're talking about an increase of 1.5% in his cap usage. It would not be ridiculous to suggest that he might still be here in 2025 just because it's not that big of a difference, and we're only saving less than half of the cost of the cap hit. So we'll see where this goes. Maybe he has a big year this year. Maybe he balls out this year, and then we got nothing to worry about in 2025. We're just going to keep him because he's a really good player. I don't know. But options remain relatively open. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. That's the latest. Dre'Mont Jones gets a restructured contract. Frees up enough. We basically don't have to do anything else anymore, I don't think. I think we're good. I think this is enough to have a practice squad, have buffer, and go into 2024 with a normal amount of money. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.